So these are our Unit 1, Lesson 1 notes. Slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Big idea 1 is proving simple geometric theorems algebraically. And the primary thing in AKS IOA 3B we're going to talk about today are the slope of a line segment. Our today's objectives are I can identify lines by their slopes and write equations for parallel and perpendicular lines. So our vocabulary is the first thing we're going to start with here. Slope. This is the measure of the steepness and direction from left to right of a line. Parallel lines do not intersect and have the same slope. Perpendicular lines intersect to form a right angle and have perpendicular slopes. Now we're going to talk about what all that means in just a second by going a little bit deeper, but right now we're just going to talk about lines, okay? So the slope-intercept form of a line is y is equal to mx plus b, okay? You should remember this, and m is our slope, and b is our y-intercept. Now what we can do is we can actually take any equation and get it into this form, and we're going to talk about that. So notice here with example 1, and this is 1a, that this equation is already in slope-intercept form. So it's y is equal to mx plus b. So our m is right there. That's our m. And remember, m is equal to our slope, right? So m is equal to 1/2 here. And this is going to be our y-intercept, right? So that's going to be our b. And so b here is going to be equal to 5. Now, the difference between this first one and the second one, letter b, is that it's not in slope-intercept form. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the 3x to the other side. And remember, what we do when we're doing algebra like this, we always do opposite operations. So we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. Okay, and that's going to give us 4y equals, and I'm going to put the negative 3x first, plus our 12, okay? So now, remember, we're doing opposite operations again. So we're going to divide, because 4y is 4 times y, we're going to divide both sides by 4. Now this is going to give us y equals, now what happens to those 4's? They cancel out, right? Okay, so y is equal to negative 3/4 x, and then 12 divided by 4 is 3. And you guys can use your calculators to figure this out, right? Okay, so gave myself a little more room there. So here again, what is my m? That's my m right there. M equals, because it's in front of the x, negative 3/4, right? And my b is right there, and that is going to be 3. Okay? Okay, we're going to go on to the third one now. Once again, notice that our 4x is on the left, our 6 is on the right, our negative 3y is on the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave the y on the right. Okay, it doesn't matter whether the y is on the left or the right. We just want the y on one side and the x and the constant on the other. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this 6 here. So that's going to give me 4x minus 6 is equal to negative 3y. Here again, we're going to divide by negative 3. Negative 3, negative 3, negative 3. Now remember, if you divide a positive by a negative, the whole term becomes negative, right? So this is going to be negative 4/3 x. That's going to be my m, right? What is negative divided by a negative? Yes, that's a positive. So this is going to be negative 6 divided by negative 3. And you can do this on your calculator, is 2. Okay? And then negative 3 divided by negative 3, that's when we're getting rid of our negative 3's, right? So then that's going to give us just y there. Okay, so now we got y on one side and we got the rest of the equation on the other. So once again, we're going to pull our m, and that's going to be what's attached to the x there. So m is going to be equal to negative 4/3. And b, which is our y-intercept, is going to be equal to 2. Okay? All right, now pause the video here. Let's see if you guys can do these. Come back to me when you're done. So this first one's pretty easy, because again, whatever's attached to the x, there's our m. That's our slope. Slope is m. And our b is going to be just that negative 2. It's already in slope-intercept form. This next one a little bit different because once again we're going to need to move the 2x. So we're going to do the opposite operation. It's a plus, so we're going to subtract it. So it's going to be negative 2x, right? This is going to be 10y equals, that's gone from there, right? Negative 2x plus 6. Remember, there's a plus in front of that 6. We're going to divide everything by 10. Now, here, I need you guys to listen to me. It's going to be really important that you reduce, okay? You're never going to leave things in. Then we know that 2 goes into 10, right? Now, you can do this on your calculators again, and you should if you don't know what to do. But 2 goes into 10, so 2 goes into 10 5 times, right? So this is going to be negative 1/5 x. And can't both the 6 and the 10 be reduced by 2? How many times does 2 go into 6? 3 times, sorry. This is going to be positive. Plus 3. And how many times does it go? 2 go into 10. It goes in there 5 times, right? So now what is my slope? M is equal to negative 1/5. Again, we're looking for that number. It's in front of that x, right? And then our b is going to be equal to what? 3/5. Because it's our constant, okay? Okay, we got one more over here, so let's go ahead and do it. Now, again, we're going to do this like we did the one above. We're going to subtract the 6 from both sides, okay? So that's going to give us 3x minus 6 equals 2y. We want to get y by itself. Remember, the operation that's going on between the two of them is multiplication. So we're going to divide by 2. Always do the opposite to move something or get rid of something, right? So this is going to be 3/2 x. Negative 6 divided by positive 2. Remember, if a negative is divided by a positive, it's going to be negative. Okay, so this is going to be minus 3. And again, those 2's canceled out, so that's our y. So our m here is going to be 3/2. And our b here is our constant, and it's going to be negative 3. All right, so on this next one, I want you guys to do it. So come back to me when you're done with this. Pause the video now. Come back when you're done. So here our slope, remember, it's attached to our x. That's going to be 7. Our y-intercept is going to be our constant, so that is going to be 1, okay? With b, again, we're going to subtract the 3x from both sides. So this is going to give us 15y equals negative 3x plus our 6. Got to divide both sides by 15, or actually everything by 15. So now the 15's gone from there, and we're left with y. And negative 3 again goes into, this whole term is going to be negative, right? How many times does 3 go into 15? You got it, 5 times. So this is going to be 1/5, negative 1/5 x, right? And then what goes into both 6 and 15? What? Let's think of a factor. 3, right? Okay, so this is going to be plus 2/5. So our m is going to be negative 1/5. Our b is going to be 2/5. Okay? One more. So once again, I'm going to subtract this 12 from both sides. So this is going to be 6x minus 12 is equal to 3y. We're going to divide everything by 3 because we're trying to get that y by itself. So divide everything by 3. 6 divided by 3. Remember, you just do the coefficients in front of that 6. So that is going to be 2x. Negative 12 divided by 3 is going to be negative 4, and that's y, right? So our m here, again, what's in front of that x? 2. And what is the constant? B is equal to negative 4. So now we did the definition earlier of parallel lines. Parallel lines, that is the parallel symbol, y'all. You put 2 lines right next to each other. This, you need to have this in your notes, okay? That's the parallel symbol. And I want you to write lines that have the same slopes. Slopes are equal, okay? So slopes are equal and have the same. They're the same, okay? And then perpendicular lines, this, whoop, I don't know what happened here, but let me fix this. Hold on. Okay, and so this is the perpendicular symbol. It's an upside down capital T. And when we have perpendicular lines, we have slopes that are negative reciprocals, you know, of each other. Remember, a reciprocal means you flip something. Okay, so if we're going to talk about what that looks like in just a minute, but of each other. So you flip the top to the bottom and the bottom to the top, and then you change the sign. Okay, that's what the negative means. You change the sign, and reciprocals means you flip it. Okay. So we're going to look down here at our example 2. It says to complete the chart, okay? So if we're talking about parallel slopes are the same. So this is going to be A over B, okay? Our perpendicular slope, however, is going to be, we're going to change the sign. So it was positive, so it now becomes negative, and we're going to put the B over the A. That's the reciprocal part, okay? So here again, parallel slope, same slope, okay? Now, the next one, because this is now, we're going to change the sign, so it's going to be positive. And remember, 2 is really 2 over 1, right? So this is now going to become 1/2, right? And it's positive because it was originally negative, okay? All right, now, parallel slope here again is the same value. Now, when we make it a negative, and then we flip it, 3 over 2, okay? Now, here's one that's interesting. So this is, if we have a parallel slope here, then obviously it's 0. But when we have a 0 slope, that means that the line is horizontal. So this is a horizontal line. Now, a vertical line has an undefined slope. And that's because the x values would be the same, and you can't divide by 0. Okay, so this is a vertical line. Just so you guys remember, okay? So here's our retries. We have A and B. So again, remember, 3/2 stays 3/2 here, and when we do the perpendicular slope, it was positive, so it becomes negative, and we make it 2/3. We flip it. This one stays -5. And then it becomes positive. And remember, any whole number is that number over 1. So this is going to be 1/5. Okay? All right, pause the video here. Go ahead and do the U-tries and come back to me when you're done. All right, so for the U-tries, again, same slope for parallel, right? Change the sign, and this is going to be +4 because it was -1/4. Again, it flips. 4 over 1 is the same as -1/4 if we flip it, right? Okay, this is going to stay 7/6. Now this is going to become -6/7. So we know slope is m, right? But slope is also rise over run. That means up and down over, the change up and down over the change left and right. Okay, so rise, up, down, run, left, right. Okay, so the change in y is y2 minus y1. The change in x is x2 minus x1. Okay, and we're going to talk about what that looks like as we start talking through some points, okay? We're going to use this formula. So determine if the lines are parallel or perpendicular given 2 points on each line, okay? So line 1 has these 2 points, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to start with labeling these. So I'm going to label this one x1, y1, this one x2, y2, okay? Remember, our formula is y2 minus y1, change in y, over x2 minus x1. And this is on your formula sheet. This is our m. That's our slope, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go 0 minus a -4 over -3 minus, minus a -4. Now, when you have a minus, what does it become, everyone? A plus, right? Okay, so that's going to give us 4 plus 0 plus 4, so this is actually going to be 4, right? And then this is going to be -3 plus 4. So remember, when you don't have the same signs, you always subtract, keep the sign of the larger number. Larger number here is 4, so 4 minus 3 is 1, right? So this is going to be 4. That's the slope of our line 1. Now we're going to do the same thing down here with line 2. x1, y1, x2, y2. So again, our formula up here, y2 is 2, minus, again, a -2, and then we've got 1 minus 0. So again, subtracting a negative, this now becomes a plus, right? So what is 2 plus 2? That's 4. And 1 minus 0 is, again, 1. So this is 4. So because we can see here that our slopes are 4 equals 4, they're equal, right? So what does that tell us? That tells us that line 1 is parallel to line 2. All right, so the we do here is a little bit different. We're going to do it 2 different ways, okay? And we're going to check it with both ways just to make sure, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot these points. So K passes through 3, 2, so that's right here. and then negative 1, 5 is right there. Okay, so we're going to draw us a line. Let's see how straight a line I can draw through there. Basically like that, right? And then line L passes through 2, 0, and 6, 3. So our line L is 2, 0. That's right there. 2 to the right. Remember, this is our x value first and then our y value. And then 6, 3 is right here. So now we're going to draw a line through there. Okay. Now, remember, we can find our slopes using our x1, y1, x2, y2, right? So that would be 5 minus 2 over negative 1 minus 3. 5 minus 2 would be 3, and that would be negative 4. So that'd be negative 3/4, right? So the slope of this line is negative 3/4. Let's check the slope of the other line. Again, x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to go 3 minus 0 over 6 minus 2. So this is going to be 3/4. Okay. So notice that these almost look the same, only one's positive, one's negative. So they are not negative reciprocals of each other. Do y'all see that? Now, I'm going to check it with the slopes with our dots, okay? So I want you to see this. So what we could have done after we created these dots, so we started with our blue, right? So this is, I'm going to do this in blue, so watch me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, sorry. Let's try that again. We're going from this dot to this dot. Y'all with me? So we're going 1, 2, 3 down. That's negative 3. And we're going over 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's my negative 3/4. See that slope right there? We can find it that way as well. Okay, so now here again, we're going from this point to this point on our red line. So we're going 1. Okay, let's go. Again, rise over run. Okay, so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3. Right? Going negative 3, and we're going left 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's a negative over a negative? That's what makes that one positive, okay? So that's 3/4. So now we're going to do our U-do-3 and our U-do-3A and B. Okay, so this is you guys. So I'm going to let you guys figure out which way you want to do this. You could do it with the slope formula. You could do it with rise over run. So pause the video here, go do it, come back to me when you're done. All right, so I'm going to do line 1, so that's 5, 2 right here, and 3, 8 up here. I'm going to go ahead and draw that line. Now I'm going to do line 2, 7, 4 right there, and 8, 1 right there. So let's look at the lines, y'all. What do you predict about them? Yeah, me too. I would say that these look parallel to me, right? So let's compare rise and run, okay? So let's just go up. Let's find 2 dots. You notice this dot right here and this dot right here? So that's, and they're falling from left to right. Let's talk about that. We haven't talked about that a lot, right? So they're falling from left to right. That means they have negative slopes, right? So this is going down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So that's negative 3 over 1. And this one, 1, 2, 3, down 3 over 1, right? So this is negative 3 over 1 as well. So what does that make the slopes? So the slopes are negative 3 equals negative 3, right? So that means line 1 is parallel to line 2. Okay? All right, so let's do the other one as well. So this one's negative 2, 3. Negative 2, 3 right there. And 1, 3. Whoa, so wait a minute. Negative 2, negative 3. There we go. Negative 2, negative 3 right here. Thought something was wrong. And then 1, 3 right there. So once again, going to get my straight edge. Maybe that was my line 1. And now we're going to do line 2, 0. 1 is right there. And 4, negative 1 is right there. So let's do this one. Oops. Definitely look perpendicular, don't they? So this is our line. 2. Okay, so let's compare the slopes again. So we do have an intersection right here, so we can go up 1, 2, and over 1. So that's 2 over 1 for line 1, right? So this is the slope 2 over 1, which equals 2. Then we can do this one. So this one is, notice it's falling from left to right again. So we're going down 1, 2. And we're going over 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one's negative 2 over 4, which is negative 1/2. And what is the relationship between the slope of 2 and negative 1/2? Those are perpendicular slopes, aren't they? So what we're going to say is that line 1 is perpendicular, upside down capital T, remember, to line 2. Okay? All right, example 4. It says calculate the slope between the 2 points that lie on the same line. What is the perpendicular slope of the line formed by the 2 points in the graph? Okay, so we're going to talk about the slope. I'm going to actually draw a line here just because I want to. So there's my line. Okay, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3 down. And we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so that was negative 3 over 5. That's the slope of the line given. Okay, now you could do this with the distance or with the slope formula, but to me it's easier just to count up, down, left, right. Okay, then it says what is the perpendicular slope, right? So the perpendicular slope is going to be positive, right? And it's going to be, we're going to flip the 3/5 to become 5/3. Okay, now this we do is, again, it says identify if the two lines graphed are parallel, perpendicular, neither. Okay, so once again, we're going to compare the slope of AB. So slope of AB, we're going up 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the slope of AB is 2/5. So what we want to see is, what is the slope of CD? So here we go again, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is also 2/5. So what did we say? If 2/5 is equal to 2/5, what can we say about line AB and CD? Line AB is parallel to line CD, right? Okay, now let's see if you guys can do this with you do 3. And notice we got point BD right here, right? So we're going to say slopes again of BD is 1, 2 down, and 1 over, right? So negative 2 over 1, so that's just negative 2, right? Okay, now let's look at CA right here. So CA is going to be 1 up and 1, 2 over. 1 up, 2 over, so that's 1 over 2, so that's 1/2. So what can we say about these slopes? Are they negative reciprocals of each other? Is one positive, one negative? And remember, 2 is 2 over 1. Okay, so that, yes. So we can say that BD, line BD, is perpendicular to line CA. And again, remember that upside down capital T. All right, now this next one is example 5. And example 5 is we're going to step through this problem. Okay, so it says, what is the slope of line AB? So that's the first thing we're going to do is find the slope of the AB. Here's my point A, there's B, so we're going up 1, 2, and we're going over 1, 2, 3, 4. So slope of AB is 2 over 4, which is equal to 1/2. Now part B says, what is the line parallel to line AB through point C? So point C up here, if you notice, is negative 2, 1. So that's x and that's y. So this is how we're going to do this. We're going to use the equation y equals mx plus b. And we're just going to plug in all our values, recalling that this is our m, right? So we're going to put 1 in for y. And then we're going to do our m, which is 1/2. And we're going to multiply that by our negative 2. And we're going to add our b. Okay, so Let's keep simplifying this. So 1 and half of negative 2 is negative 1, right? Plus b. How do we get rid of that negative 1? We add 1 to both sides, right? So b is going to be equal to 2. So now think, we got to put back our m and our b in here to get the equation of the line, okay? So that means y is going to be equal to, our m is 1/2, and our b is 2, okay? So that's what we're going to do here. Now the next part says, what is the slope of the line that's perpendicular to AB? Well, we know that the slope was 1/2 up here, right? So we need to flip that. So that's going to be 2 over 1. It's going to become negative, right? So negative 2 over 1 is negative 2, right? So that's our perpendicular slope. That's our perpendicular slope, perpendicular M, right? Okay. So sorry, let me make that a little cleaner. So that's equal to our perpendicular M, okay? So now we're going to do the same thing we did before. We got that point C, same point we used up here. So point C is negative 2, 1. So we're going to do the same thing we just did a minute ago. So we're putting our 1 here, only this time we're using the negative 2 slope. So we're going to multiply negative 2 times our negative 2 plus our b, right? So that's going to be 1 is equal to 4 plus b. We are then going to subtract that 4 from both sides because we're solving for b. So b is equal to negative 3. Remember, when one number is positive, the other is negative, you're always going to subtract and keep the sign at a larger number, okay? So now we're going to plug that back into the equation with our new m and our new b. So this is going to be y is equal to negative 2x minus 3. Okay? All right. We're going to work this one again together, and then you guys are going to do the last one by yourself. Okay, so we're going to look at what is the slope of AB. So here we go again. We're going to just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that was 6 down, right? Rise over run. 1, 2, 3. Negative 6 over 3 is negative 2. So that is our slope. That's our M, okay? Now the questions in this problem are the next. It says, what is the slope of the line perpendicular to AB? So if we're looking for the perpendicular slope, perpendicular M, what do we do to the negative 2? We make it positive and we flip it. Remember, it's 2 over 1, right? So this is going to be positive 1/2. Then it says, what is the line parallel to AB through point C? So once again, we're going to look at that point C right up here. There's our C. And so C is negative 2 because it's 2 left and then 2 up. Remember, this is going to be our x. This is going to be our y. We're going to use that equation, y equals mx plus b, and we're going to solve for b, our y-intercept, okay? So here again, we're going to put our 2 there. And we're looking for parallel. So we're looking at this slope right here, our original slope, our negative 2, times our 2 for our negative 2 times our, which is our x, okay? So this is going to be 2 equals 4, because negative times negative is positive. That's supposed to be plus b. Sorry about that, y'all. Plus b. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So that means b is going to be equal to negative 2 here. Okay? So now we're going to plug in our m and our b into our equation. So y is equal to negative 2x minus 2. Okay, so here's our last part. What is the equation of the line perpendicular to AB through point B? Okay, so here we go again. So perpendicular is this one, remember. So m is going to be 1/2. And our x is going to be, let's go back up here and look. We said negative 2 and our y is going to be 2, right? X is going to be negative 2 and our y is going to be 2. So we're going to put that in, y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. So it's going to be 2 equals 1/2 of negative 2 plus b. Half of negative 2 is negative 1, right? So it's going to be 2 is equal to negative 1 plus b. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. So b is going to be equal to 3 here. So once again, we need to sub in our m and our b. So y is going to be equal to 1/2 x here plus 3. All right, last problem. I want you guys to go ahead and do this one and come back to me when you're done. Okay, so here's the last one, slope of AB. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. That's -4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, remember, we got to reduce this. So this is going to be -2 over 3. You can do that in your calculator. I can show you how. So, and then we're going to find point C again. So point C, this time is -1, 5, right? So remember, this is going to be our X. That's going to be our Y, right? So parallel, we're looking for the parallel. So we're going to use this as our M, remember? So, and then we got our X and our Y. So Y is going to be 5. And you know what, let me put this up a little higher so I have some room to work. 5 is going to be equal to -2/3 times -1 plus B. Ooh, this one's going to be ugly, y'all. Let's see if y'all can figure it out. So this is going to be 5. Negative times negative is going to be positive, so that's going to be +2/3 plus B. So what are we going to have to do to the 2/3? We're going to have to subtract it, right? So we're going to subtract the 2/3 from both sides. So you can do this in your calculator, guys. 5 minus 2/3. And if you did that, you probably got a, you might have got a fraction, might have got a decimal. Okay, either way, this is going to be equal to, 5 is going to be 13 over 3. And I'll show you how to turn that into a fraction. Okay, that's our B. And then, let's see what that's equal to. Hold on a minute. That's also equal to 4.33. Now you can use either one of those, but so Y is equal to, remember we're doing our M here, -2/3 X. And I'm just going to say plus 13 over 3 because the county loves leaving things as improper fractions. Haha. All right, then our next part here was what is the line perpendicular? What is the slope of the line perpendicular? So this is going to be 3 over 2, isn't it, y'all? So the perpendicular M is going to be equal to 3 over 2. So once again, we're doing our 5 is equal to, this time we're doing 3 over 2 times -1 plus B. So this is going to be 5 is equal to -3/2 plus B. So we're going to add the 3/2 to both sides this time, right? Wasn't that 1 1/2? Negative, so we're going to add 1.5 to both sides. You can find that on your calculator if you want. So this is going to be 6.5 is equal to B. So once again, we're plugging everything back in our equation. Y and this, right? So this is going to be Y is equal to 3/2 X plus 6.5. And again, that could also be, what is that, 13 over 2, I think? Yeah. So, because if we're adding 3, this would be 10 over 2, right? And then if we add 3 over 2 to 10 over 2, we get 13 over 2. So, again, can be represented multiple ways.